Deep behind enemy lines, a single operative managed to outsmart Hitler's Gestapo and dismantle their networks from within. Today, we uncover the untold story of the lone spy who became the Nazis' worst nightmare. Topic 1. The origin of the silent threat and the initial risk. Getting a handle on the extreme surveillance of World War II Europe really drives home just how much guts it took to face that kind of danger head-on. Back in occupied Europe, the tiniest slip-up meant death at the hands of the ruthless German secret police, the Gestapo. Man, when that lone agent decided to cross the border and operate in the shadows, he knew he wouldn't have an army, backup, or any room for mistakes. The plain truth is, taking on that kind of risk alone takes a level of mental prep way above average, where you've got to keep your cool under the most brutal pressure imaginable. Now, that ability to act with precision even when surrounded by uncertainty gives us a real practical lesson, one that lines up perfectly with what Napoleon Hill preached about having crystal-clear purpose and unshakable courage. Waiting around for the perfect moment to act is the fastest way to get stuck in a rut, professionally and personally. If you want to start building that calculated bravery mindset today, it's worth picking up The Art of War by Sun Tzu and practicing your decision-making in high-stress scenarios by keeping a daily risk journal. Learning to control fear is step one in building a truly unbreakable mind. Here's the real kicker. That operative wasn't leaning on brute force. He was reading people and staying 2 steps ahead of the enemy's every move. He slipped into territory choked with surveillance, working under cover of night while mapping out the weak points in the Nazi infrastructure. And as his quiet moves started causing quiet chaos, the Gestapo brass realized they weren't dealing with some regular unit. They were up against a brilliant, invisible mind. Topic 2. The art of disguise and the chess match with the Gestapo. Mastering the art of blending in right under the enemy's nose took ice-cold intelligence and a wild ability to adapt on the fly. Man, walking down streets crawling with patrols without raising a single eyebrow meant nailing fake identities, local accents, and mannerisms down to a science. The plain truth is, the smallest hesitation in your voice or one wrong glance at the wrong moment meant getting executed on the spot. No trial, no nothing. That level of obsessive attention to detail is basically a masterclass in the power of preparation and self-discipline. Exactly what Napoleon Hill talked about when it comes to mastering your own behavior. Leaving your image or how you communicate up to chance day to day is basically handing control of your career over to other people. If you want to build that kind of commanding, persuasive presence in your everyday interactions, I'd recommend checking out The Like Switch by Jack Schafer and actively practicing empathetic listening and body language in your work meetings. Staying composed under pressure is the ultimate tool for earning anyone's respect. Here's the real kicker. The spy turned the secret police's own routine into a trap that blew up in their faces. He tracked officers' schedules, intercepted confidential reports, and leaked false leads that sent Nazi agents chasing ghosts on expensive, frustrating wild goose chases. And while the Gestapo desperately tried to close in without even knowing who they were after, the psychological game happening behind the scenes of the occupation hit a level of tension nobody had ever seen before. Topic 3. Forbidden operations and the manhunt. Pulling off sabotage right in the heart of enemy-controlled territory cranked the tension up to almost unbearable levels. Man taking out key communication lines, derailing supply trains, and rescuing allies marked for death. This lone operative was chipping away at the Nazi machine from the inside. The plain truth is, every successful mission fed the panic in Gestapo command, who ended up throwing hundreds of men and tons of resources into an all-out obsessive manhunt. That kind of unshakable determination in the face of seemingly impossible odds teaches us something huge about resilience and persistence. Exactly what Napoleon Hill was getting at when he talked about the power of a clearly defined purpose. Backing down at the first real obstacle is exactly why most people abandon their most promising projects. If you want to bring that same unbreakable willpower into your own goals, it's worth reading The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, and getting into the habit of breaking your biggest, boldest goals down into non-negotiable daily tasks. Keeping your eyes locked on the end goal is what separates the people who actually get things done from the ones who just watch from the sidelines. Here's the real kicker. The harder the secret police squeezed with checkpoints and brutal interrogations, the more the spy used their own paranoia against them. He kept slipping out of impossible situations at the very last second, leaving nothing behind but cryptic clues that left the local authorities completely demoralized. But even the sharpest minds eventually hit that one moment where history demands a final price for their audacity. Topic 4. The unshakable legacy and lessons in courage. When the dust of war finally settled, this lone agent's accomplishments turned out to have a way bigger impact than any army could have pulled off. Man, the covert operations run from the shadows saved thousands of lives and tore apart the intelligence network holding up the terror across Europe. The plain truth is, the whole history of modern espionage got rewritten because of one person bold enough to put everything on the line for a bigger cause. That epic journey leaves us with a deep lesson about the power of individual action and moral courage. A perfect reflection of Napoleon Hill's whole idea that the human mind can achieve anything it can conceive and believe. Believing in your own potential is the fuel you need to change your reality and push through the darkest times. If you want to bring that same leadership and impact into your everyday life, it's worth picking up The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown and practicing standing firm on your values, even when everyone around you is taking the easy way out. Having the guts to act according to your principles is what actually builds a life that means something. Here's the real kicker. The memory of this quiet triumph over the Gestapo stands forever, as proof that cleverness and determination will always win out over tyranny in the end. Looking back and breaking down every move in that deadly chess match pushes us to think about how we handle our own everyday battles. And it's exactly by soaking up these lessons from the past that we find the right tools to change our own journey today. Conclusion. After a story this wild, this much guts and strategy against forces that seemed unbeatable, here's the question that sticks with you. How much longer are you going to let fear and uncertainty set the limits on your own potential? This lone spy's journey proves that real strength has nothing to do with the size of the army behind you. It's all about your ability to stay focused, act with cunning, and never back down from life's biggest challenges. So what are you going to do today to take on your own battles, build an unshakable mindset, and take control of your own destiny? If this deep dive into the hidden side of World War II gave you something valuable, don't wait. Subscribe to the channel right now and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the mysteries, tactics, and most incredible stories from our history.